Hi everyone, my name is Taha Abbasi. I serve as the Chief Technology Officer here at Ferrum Network, and today I'm excited to bring you another monthly development update from Ferrum Network. This is going to be a power-packed update where we're going to be covering all the strategies, the development, the R&D, and the deployments that we've done in the month of September. But we're also going to cover some of the things that we found over the last couple of quarters in terms of testing our different development approaches, which have worked well, which have not, and how we're adopting the most effective approaches across our different teams. So make sure to stay tuned towards it all the way to the end of the video, as there's going to be a lot of material that's going to be covered in this one. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the first topic, which is an element that we focused on and discovered after doing a review of our development velocity, our code quality that was going out, and trying to figure out ways to improve it. A few quarters ago, we did an analysis and we looked at our velocity of shipment products, whether that was the bridge that we had released, its updates in terms of integrating other networks. We had also reviewed development of newer products such as Crucible and Multiswap, so on and so forth, along with development of our core technology line that revolves around mainnet. And what we realized that even though our team had scaled, it had scaled from 2 engineers in 2021 to over a dozen engineers and a total engineering size of 20 engineers now. Our development velocity had not scaled at the same level. If we weren't necessarily shipping multiple X faster than we were before. And as we did a review and tried to understand what was the root cause of this issue, we realized that as our team scaled up, we continued to spread our team a little bit too thin. And this little bit too thin started to exponentially increase into quite a bit too thin over a couple of quarters. What does this mean? This meant that as our team scaled up into more and more teammates, instead of focusing that energy into getting the same core products that were higher priority on our roadmap out quicker, because of the needs of the business that would come up, we would have ad hoc requests coming through to deploy a modification to our staking product for a client or to do a specific grant integration in order to secure funds to fund the business, because we are not a company that, as I've mentioned in a recent update, that has sold any of our Ferrum tokens in order to facilitate our business operations. So these revenue generating activities kept taking a precedence in order to keep the lights on, in order to keep funding development and growth of the company. The downside of this was that while one benefit being that we were able to support the growth of the company, the downside being that our development team was spread across building and pushing updates off for Crucible and maintaining that, building and pushing updates off for staking and maintaining that, building and pushing updates out for a vesting tool, and then customizing those vesting tools for different custom client needs. Essentially, Ferrum had sort of become a software house, essentially fulfilling the needs of the different clients and grant integrations that would come through. So that was one problem, is we were doing too many things all at once and wasn't really ideal for the type of goals that we have and the size of the team that we had. Secondly, the issue was that we prioritized, rightfully so at that time. It is something we needed as the bear market hit. Our revenues, our holdings, everything went down upwards of 90%. And we had planned that this was going to happen. Obviously, when you're in crypto, you need to prepare for the market cycles. But specifically for our business, we had to look at ways to continue to bring in certain revenue to fund the development through the bear. So we prioritized going after grants that provided significant capital. And these grants were for networks. Of course, if there's a network out there typically giving out a larger size grant that is in the six figures area, they're typically doing that because they're not getting a lot of traction and they want you to go ahead and build and integrate with them in order to attract a lot of volume and a lot of traction towards them. So while this was helpful in generating revenue, it hurt the adoption of our products, because instead of aligning our products with high volume and high traction networks already, such as Solana and other non-EVM networks that would have taken off quite a bit in the Cosmos or the Polkadot ecosystem, we focus our attention on these niche networks, which added a lot of value but did not help the products as much. So we've changed those angles, and we started a few quarters ago an approach to isolate a specific segment of our team. And that segment was our mainnet team. So what we've done with the mainnet team is we have completely removed all distractions for the mainnet team a few quarters ago and asked them to solely focus on mainnet work, not focus on any other grants integrations, not focus on any of the ad hoc work that might come through. And we took that responsibility, assigned it to our other gateway and multi-swap and general development operations teams. The benefit of this was quite evident. In 2 quarters, our mainnet team with that sole focus was able to put out better deployment updates, was able to put them out quicker at a higher quality, and was able to innovate as well by freeing up that brain power to not have to constantly worry about conflicting priorities coming through. They were able to focus on and deliver really, really high quality. And now we're at a point where we have a slot secured on Kusama as a parachain. We are already pushing out testnet live here in a quarter upcoming. We're also going to be pushing out node rewards in the upcoming quarters. And we're well on our way in a much better position than we were a year ago in our road towards deploying Ferrum mainnet. So this result and this change in direction has had a significant improvement. So we took this approach and now we wanted to share this same approach that has been successful in other areas as well, which is why you've seen some of the changes come through. So we have now taken that approach of having a laser focus on a limited amount of products. That doesn't mean that we're not going to go ahead and support and facilitate all of our other products and services. It just means that we are going to focus on delivering all of our development effort on one product at a time that is a higher priority, keeping some capacity for ad hoc urgent issues, but mostly we're going to be focused single-mindedly on the product at hand. Currently, that product has been identified as mainnet as being the main core, and secondly, being multi-swap as our second main core product, which is going to utilize a lot of the mainnet technology as well. So in that light, I'm going to first focus on sharing some of the updates about how the work has been done over the week of September. So I'll be over the month of September, I'll be sharing my screen and going over some of these items. And then I'll get into how we're adjusting this strategy to assign all of this work and effort towards a more focused product line. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And here we go. So as you can see on the screen, this is our Jira timeline roadmap. It covers all of the different items that would be on our development and technical roadmap in this format, in the form of epics. We do have this actually open source, so you guys can actually access this through an open source link and follow along with all of these updates. So I want to focus on what is our priority right now. So as you can see that we had quite a few things going on in the past. We have really prioritized the epic of multi-swap fixes and optimization. When we went through a couple of beta testing rounds of multi-swap, we gathered that feedback. We gathered all the feedback that was provided by users, whether actively or through the data tools that we had put out, looking at how they were specifically utilizing multi-swap, where transactions were failing, where the user experience wasn't optimal. And we have dissected that down into 70 different issues and improvement areas that we have identified that our team is working on right now. Our current timeline to complete this is 6 weeks from the time this started, so it's scheduled to be completed around the 3rd of November. There are obviously some elements that can push that forward if we do run into complications, but that's the general timeline. I also want to share something else that you can look at very easily, and we share these in our development reports as well. This is all of our issues and items, features, bugs that were marked as complete in the month of September. So in total, the team worked on 264 different issues, out of which we have fixed and pushed out about 29 bug fixes. And then out of those total 264, 223 were different issue feature updates, tasks related to research and development and improvement of the products, execution of an improvement of quotation APIs, user flows, user experience updates, so on and so forth. And then this is what I was mentioning is in terms of the 70 issues that we have isolated down after the multiple rounds of beta testing for multi-swap updates that we'll be pushing out. So one thing to keep in mind is that's quite a significant effort, as I mentioned, that is expended on just the part of